Thomas, thank you so much for being here today. I greatly appreciate your time. I know it's a precious commodity. For those watching, listening, who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you at an expo or EP or anything like that, kind of share with everyone your name, your company name, and where you guys are located.
Yeah, sure. My name's Thomas Munn. Name of the company is Full Spectrum Plumbing. And we're in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're just south of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Very good. Very good. We're talking for a great reason. Business has been very good. I know it's not that old of a company, but you're really doing some great things. This is your chance to kind of brag about your team and what you guys have been doing. Kind of outline for everyone how revenue's been increasing, how the team's been increasing the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in 2018. I think the first year we did like 150,000. Yeah, 19 we hired our first helper. I think we did a little over 300. Yeah. 2020 is when it really started to take off. We hired a few more plumbers. I think we did about 2.2 in 2020. 2021, we hired a few more. We did about 1.7. And then 2023, we ended about 2.1. We ended with 4 plumbers.
Yeah. And you've got big goals for this year. You want to get up to 7 and at least maybe doing that mid.
Yeah. So we're hoping to hit around 2.6 by the end of this year with 7 trucks.
That's awesome. And with 7 trucks, and you said kind of outline the team for everyone. So you're hoping to get to 7 trucks, but you've got some helpers that are assisting as well, correct?
Yeah. So we've got 4 trucks running right now, and we have 2 helpers.
Very good.
I've got one of those helpers. He's been with us for a little over 2 years now, so he's actually about to go into a truck. So he's going to put us at 5. And we got him green.
Yeah.
So he's fully, all he knows is this CertainPath way. So we're pretty excited. I think he's going to do really great.
Very cool. Very cool. And in terms of breakdown of residential versus commercial, kind of share with everyone what that approximate percentage is, just so they understand.
So we're probably about 90% residential, but 10% very small commercial repairs.
Yeah. And you treat it like you shared with me earlier. You treat it like residential that you get paid right away, or at least within 14 days. You're not doing that 60, 90-day dance.
No. That's kind of how we determine if we're going to do business with those commercial customers. Is there someone who can pay us with a check or credit card, while we're on site? We do have a few commercial vendors that use us very often, spend good money that we don't mind billing them, but even they pay us immediately. They're putting a check in the mail the next day, or we're getting paid at least within 14 days, or we just kind of can't do business with them.
Yeah. Good for you. Oh, and I forgot to bring up the most important thing. We were talking revenue a minute ago. Revenue's great, and trucks are great, but it's margins that matter. And that's what we always preach. And you've all this growth, you said you've been hovering around that 18 to 20% net realm, correct?
Yeah. So every month we're, 18 to 23.
Oh, that's amazing.
%.
Hey, that's how you add those trucks, right? That's how you wrap them. That's how you invest in marketing. All those sales don't matter if you're not able to turn that money to work, put it to work for you. So congratulations. That's super cool. Looking forward to talking about your business and all the good stuff. I want to dig into your background a little bit. I think you said you mentioned you started Full Spectrum with your dad. So I guess is plumbing in the blood?
Yeah. So, my dad's been a plumber since before I was born. But he's always worked for other people. He tried to do his own thing in the early 2000s. Wasn't quite for him. So, he just found that it was better to work for someone else. And then, things kind of changed after, in the 2010s, things kind of changed. Information becomes more available. And, he was like, well, I could do it, but I'm going to need some help.
Okay.
And so, we kind of just decided, hey, we could do this.
Okay. So how about your foray into plumbing? I mean, did you help your dad out? I know he was working for somebody else, but When did you know you were going to follow in his footsteps and get into the trade?
Yeah, so, like I've always been around it. So, I'd help him in the summers when I was a kid, but really it was probably around 2011, 2012, I was doing new construction plumbing.
Okay.
Just because, at that time, it wasn't very easy to find a job,
Right.
with no college education, but new construction plumbing was picking up really fast then. So I jumped into new construction, with the intentions of, learning the basics and then moving over into service.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and that was about the time where he was like, hey, we can do this. Or some other things happened and, I kind of postponed it. And then around 2018, we were like, yeah, let's do this.
Let's give it a run. How about the name Full Spectrum? How'd you come up with it? Why'd you come up with that one?
Yeah. So, when we started out, at least I don't know if it's like this for everyone. When you start out, man, it's nerve wracking. You're like, how are we going to get business? Where are we going to get business? So we were like, a lot of times people don't know who to call.
Sure.
At the time we're like, hey, between us, there's nothing, that they're going to call us for that we can't really do. And so we were, kind of full spectrum plumbing. Like we covered the full spectrum of plumbing.
Right. I like it. Very good. So how did, that you bring up something that pops in my mind, a question that pops in my mind is getting the business rolling early on. Like where do you find those leads? So was it just friends and family, word of mouth, and how it first got rolling?
Yes. So when we very first started, we of course went straight to Google, put it out there to friends and family, contractors we knew. We were full spectrum. We weren't going to turn away anything, remodels, new construction, whatever it took, to get started. And, we found a lot of success actually in, Home Advisor.
Oh, okay.
To keep us busy, while we got those Google reviews up, while we got the website ranking. Home Advisor, made it where, we could get started and not have to worry so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how did you not, I don't want to call it fall into the trap, but why not the draw to new construction? It's where you came from, right? That's how you cut your teeth. Why not try and find a bunch of guys and, knock out a bunch of houses or some commercial properties? Why did you not go that way?
It's just a race to the bottom. There's so many people out there just giving it away.
Yeah. And
you're relying on contractors. You've got a handful of people where if you lose one, that hurts.
Yep.
So it just, and it's a lot harder work when you're doing it by yourself. It's multiple trips, waiting to get paid. Just service was just way better and made a whole lot more sense.
Sure. That's great. I mean, you're a young man figuring it out. It sometimes takes people a lot of years and a lot of hitting their heads against the wall before they go, okay, enough of this mess. So good for you. So, okay, you talked about it though. You did, it was $100,000 in sales that first year, and then it really started to take off. Was it the Home Advisor leads that helped? Was it just the reviews that were a launch point? Was there something else you did marketing wise where you really started gaining some steam?
I think it starts with the fundamentals. It was reputation.
Yeah.
We built a reputation for giving quality service. And, we got a lot of referrals in the beginning. But Google, it was almost like, once we got to like a certain number of 5-star reviews, it was almost like a light switch flipped.
Right.
In our website, we had an SEO company, doing all of that. And,
sure.
As soon as I figured out, Home Advisor had an algorithm that they try to almost trap you. They give you just enough to keep you busy, but not enough for you to excel.
Yeah.
And once Google took off, we kind of got away from Home Advisor.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
Like once we got to a certain point, it was almost like a light switch flip with Google. I think it was about 100 reviews.
Okay. Were you using any kind of a software like a Pulse-M or something like that to solicit reviews, or were you just asking in the home, hey, if you don't mind, if you think we did a great job, could you leave a review for us?
Yeah. So actually, our first probably year and a half, we were on paper.
Okay.
So it was, asking in the home and then, texting from the cell phone, texting the Google link. Hey,
Yeah.
We'd follow up. Hey, everything's still working good. I just texted you a link. If you don't mind, go give us a review on Google. It really helps.
Support for this podcast comes from Zoller. Zoller Pump Company's Aquanaut Fit 508 battery backup system offers an economical option for homeowners in need of dependable protection from basement flooding. The Aquanaut Fit 508 DC sump pump works alongside Zoller's submersible or pedestal pumps to provide up to 6 hours of continuous high-performance pumping when the primary pump either can't keep up or the power is interrupted. What really sets the Aquanaut Fit apart from any other system is its free connectivity with the Z Control Cloud, allowing users to receive alerts and remotely connect to the system to test, silence, and configure. For more information on the Aquanaut Fit and the other water and wastewater solutions, visit zollerpumps.com.
There's so many young, or not even young, but newer entrepreneurs, right? They get into this. I was a technician. I want to do something on my own, and they just focus on the service side, right? How do I get better service? You sounded like early on you figured out, I need to grow this as a business, right? You're talking about hooking up with Google, hooking up with Home Advisor, getting a website established. Were you actively trying to educate yourself? Were you looking, online and what are some things I need to do as a small business right away? How did you kind of turn yourself on to all these important things at that early stage?
Yeah, so I told you that, we decided we were going to do this around 2012, 2013, but we didn't actually start until 2018.
Yeah.
During all of that time, yes, I was very deep into how do you do it? Well, what gets you there? And, you have to look at the business is the product. Plumbing is great. It's a great service. You have to give good service, but your product is your business. So you have to grow the whole thing if you want to succeed. Not just go out and do as much plumbing as you can.
Sure. No, that's great. So that kind of swerves us into how you found us. Here you are, you've got a lot of the right things in place. It sounds like you understand some of the early things you need to do to start getting attention, to start getting phone calls. So what prompted you to ultimately join CertainPath? Was it someone reaching out to you? Did you find us? Kind of share with everyone.
So I was kind of interested in looking, when I think I got a postcard that said, hey, come to a profit day.
Sure.
And like everybody in their first years, it's like, man, can I afford it?
Yeah.
So, I was already kind of looking, but I was like, man, I don't know if I can afford it, but, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I actually went to a profit day, went through the presentation, and I was still, hey, it sounds great, but is it what I need and can I afford it?
Right.
So I actually didn't join, but it was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I tried some lesser coaching platforms that were a little more budget friendly.
Yeah.
And they were definitely helpful. They were certainly a stepping stone, for me to see that, hey, CertainPath was the right choice.
Yeah.
But they gave me just enough for me to question what I was doing without giving me a path or, helping me know what to do next. And I reached back out to you guys.
Okay.
Right before you rebranded to CertainPath, and I talked to Ray. And I was telling Ray, I was like, I'm with this other program. It's just not, they're great people, they're great coaches, but they're not giving me what I need. They're not helping me with the path that I need to go down. And Ray said, well, it's funny you mentioned that. And that's when he kind of told me that about the rebrand to the CertainPath to encompass, all the different trades and stuff. So, when he told me that, and, he walked me through it kind of in a one-on-one situation, what you guys can offer and everything. I was like, this is it.
It's time to make the investment. Good for you. Yeah, that's there's some synchronicity there to you talking about Path, rebranding to CertainPath. That's funny. All right. So you reached out to Ray. You said, let's give it a go. Did you go back to a profit day, or you kind of made the decision right there?
Yeah, no, I made the decision right there. Ray kind of walked me through the pillars again, and, he hit the main points of a profit day for me just to refresh. And he gave me a one-on-one tour of the hub.
Yeah.
Just because, I expressed to him my concerns, and he was like, man, what you're telling me is you need us. You're looking for us. So, he walked me through all of that, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
All right. Very good. So the next step is executive perspective, EP, what we call that. To share with everyone what EP was like for you, kind of what your feeling was at the end of that week, and just the general experience.
Yeah, so I actually went through one of the first Path trainings.
Oh, you were one of the guinea pigs.
I didn't go. Yeah, I didn't go to the traditional EP, and my coach has actually been on me like, you need to get to EP this year. So that's I am going to plan, closer probably to summer to go to an EP. But I did do the Path training, which they told me was pretty similar, but it was a little bit different. But it was still like drinking from a fire hose. We went through numbers, accounting, how to price. It was a lot, and honestly, it was exciting.
Oh, good. Some people walk out of it and go, "Holy cow, what am I going to do?" So that's great. You were pumped. So, but yeah, it's a little different. It's structured, I think, a little bit more. It's, believe it or not, I think it's a little less fire hose than regular EP is, but you walk out of there, what were 2 or 3 things that you're like, I got to do this right away when I get back?
One was the straightforward pricing guide.
Yeah.
That was something I had been looking for. And one of the draws to CertainPath was, just the standardized pricing and a way to present it in a way that's easy for, the plumbers and technicians to understand and to be able to use efficiently.
Yeah.
Another was the financial model.
Mm-hmm.
That's been key.
Yeah.
For us since then is, just to understand where the money should be, and that was one of my biggest questions, that I questioned myself about, like, how are, our financials? Yes, we've been profitable, but can we scale it profitably? Or are we, hemorrhaging money in this section and don't even know it, and it's going to cause us a problem later? So having that financial model has been a big relief.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a scary thing as a business owner. It's like, are we doing what we need to do? Or, are the numbers where they should be? Am I spending the right percentage of materials and labor and all that stuff? Did you work with a coach in structuring that, or were you able to get rolling with it on your own?
Yeah, no, I knew enough, I'd been doing my own books on a spreadsheet, actually. Up until I joined CertainPath. So I was kind of familiar with how it all worked. But that gave me the ability to go to a bookkeeper and say, hey, this is how I want it done, and let's do it this way. And now you can keep the books for me, and I don't have to do it myself. Because before I had that financial model, it was very frustrating. I tried a bookkeeper, and it was very frustrating trying to get them to do it the way that made sense to me, but I had nothing to show them, nothing to give them, and I didn't know how to explain it. So it was very, hey, give this to the bookkeeper. They can set your chart of accounts to this.
Right.
And, I kind of already knew how to read it because I was familiar with, cost of goods sold and everything. So it made a lot of sense for me. And it was really a key in, making me a more confident business owner.
That's great. I mean, there's so many guys we talk to at their early stages. They go, I just pretty much look at my checking account. Money goes in and goes out, and I never seem to have enough. So that's great. You made the effort to understand that stuff early on, even though you weren't confident in it. I want to go back to the pricing thing. What were you doing before? Were you doing time and material? Were you trying to some kind of flat rate guide that you had cobbled together yourself, or maybe from somebody else?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'd pretty much made my own kind of pricing books just off basic tasks, but it never covered everything. The plumbers were always asking questions about, where do I do for this? How do I do this? Where, and it was just always very, I don't want to say frustrating, but it was time consuming. It wasn't easy.
Right.
When they always have questions, I don't know how to do every task. I was pricing things. I have my state contractor book, from where I took my plumbing license exam, and they give you the NASCLA book, and in there it tells you, traditional way to price, for profit. So I was just pricing these services just based off of that. You have to cover your cost of goods, you have to cover your overhead, and you have to make some profit. So, but I didn't know, what should your gross margin be? I didn't know any of that until I got the financial model. I was just kind of going off of that. And it was working, but I knew it wasn't very scalable.
Sure. Yeah, those KPIs, this having that, knowing what targets you have, that's got to be peace of mind, right? You're like, okay, they're saying this is an industry standard. If I get there, I know I'm doing the right things, right?
Yeah. No, it's been very helpful.
Yeah, and also, I for talking with guys over the many years, it also lets you know if something's broken. So if all of a sudden those materials are too high or labor's too high, it's like, I got to dig into this and see what's going on, right? Maybe we're not offering enough stuff. We're not closing at a right percentage. All that stuff, it adds up.
Yeah, no, like knowing though where those numbers should be is it, when you're dealing with a few $100,000, $1 million, it's a lot of money, but it's manageable. And I just felt like once we hit that 1.5, it was like, man, I've got to figure something out, or I don't want to go too much further.
Sure.
If I'd have joined CertainPath in 2018, there's no telling where we would be right now.
Yeah. On the guide, I know you're using software and this is CRM. Are your plumbers, do they use tablets in the field, or are they using the hard book still, or what are they doing?
Yeah, so we use both. We actually have the hard book. We have all the tasks and everything, coded out and in our software. Right. So everything that's in the book is in the software, and it reads almost exactly. So they're still presenting the book and using the book. We're just getting invoices signed, presenting options and things on the tablets.
Good. Yeah, I wanted to bring up the point that there's some guys like, I don't need the book anymore. I just like using the tablet and the software. The book, it adds value, right? If it's used properly early in the call and throughout, so homeowners know what they're getting with you, I think there's still a lot of value in that presentation piece.
Yes, well, having the price printed, we saw tremendous, like the callbacks for, hey, the worst callback is when that you've already done the service and then they tell you, oh, the price was too much, right? Those are the worst.
Sure.
Those have pretty much gone away. Because when we can show you a printed price, it's not, because those are the ones, it's not like they felt like your company charges too much. They just felt like they were personally overcharged. Like the plumber mispriced them, plumber took advantage of him, whatever and so forth. But when you can show them in that book that is the printed price, those calls pretty much go away.
Did you find that your service call process slowed down? We can get into training in a little bit, but I feel like a lot of that, when people complain about pricing, it's they didn't know what the price was, but also the guy rushed in and out of the house. Like he was in and out in 30 minutes and he charged me $700. Like, you guys making $700 an hour? There's that complaint, right? So did a lot of that, did you guys slow down as you learned the process, the pricing and the training that went with it?
Yes. It has slowed our process down a lot, taking the time to present the book and sit down with them and everything. It definitely reduces those pricing concerns.
Sure.
We had already been working on a lot of that. We were familiar with all that, and hey, quick calls, callbacks.
Yeah.
Not presenting options.
Yeah.
Creates callbacks.
Yeah.
So we had already been working on that, but yes, having the straightforward pricing guide and having the CertainPath, call process, just made it that much easier.
Sure. How about the inspection sheet, and explain to people the value of the inspection? How much did that help? Was that something you adopted early on?
Yes, and that's still a work in progress. to do it all the time.
Sure.
Sure. It's not natural to people, plumbers who have been doing in this business for a long time and never worked for, a company that has processes. So, it's hard for them to understand that it benefits the customer until they go out and, they actually see, hey, they do get more people to agree with the services, and they do get, they're helping people when they do it.
Yeah.
So, that's still a work in progress to get them to do it all the time, but they do understand that, hey, it is beneficial to the customer.
Sure. That's one of those hurdles early on in converting to the system that happens to a lot of people. And it's totally, you hit it on the head. Guys are used to doing things a certain way. But I will say, anyone watching, listening, that's a technician, plumber, I'll tell you, as a homeowner, been a homeowner a long time, there is nothing more frustrating than having a service person in your house. They do something, and then you have another common related issue pop up, and you got to call them again. I would much rather have it all. I'd much rather pay more money and have my house fixed than have to schedule more time out of my day for 2 or 3 times. I mean, today, time is more valuable than money, I think, with most people. That's how they think. So, and that's what that form is designed to do. So, listen to Thomas. He knows what he's talking about, guys. No.
Yeah, I mean, just like 2 days ago, we had someone go out and they went out for a water heater. They're looking at the water heater, and they decided to crawl the crawl space and found they actually had a leak on their copper pipes under the house. The customer, their water heater wasn't out, but it was going out, so they didn't go with the service right then. They actually called someone else out. This was on a Friday. They had someone else come out on a Saturday, but that person did not go under the house, and they did not see that leak.
Yeah. So
come Monday, they were calling us to come put that water heater in, even though the competitor was going to charge them less. Yeah. So, I mean, that alone, it was worth it that day.
It gave them peace of mind. Like, oh, they're actually looking at the entire system. I feel way more confident in their knowledge. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, you guys are improving people's homes. You're making them safer, more efficient. I mean, I'd much rather, I think people are the right customers. Ones you want are the ones that are like, I'm investing in something. So, for sure, that's great stuff. How about your price? You talked about adopting straightforward pricing. How was your pricing in general? Were you far off from where you needed to be? Were you hitting the margins you needed with the price you were at, or did that have to go up quite a bit?
No, we were pretty close to where we needed to be.
Yeah,
there were some things we were off on. And that's kind of what it helped. Like, it was always uncertain to me, were we pricing this service right? Because I was making it up.
Sure.
I was using a model to price it, but I was making the price up myself.
Right.
So, once we had the straightforward pricing guide, it did help clarify and uniform, what we were doing and how we were priced.
For sure. With a price that leads to a profit, we always talk about, hey, you got to make sure to provide that value, which starts off right away with uniforms. Were you guys in uniforms early on? Was that something like, I got to do that right away?
Yeah, that was a big one for me from the very beginning, was that we look, professional and presentable.
Yeah.
So it was gradual. We started off in, shirts similar to the one I'm wearing right now, just a collared polo shirt, khaki jeans.
Yeah.
But, we eventually moved to the white shirts, dark pants.
Yep.
Model.
It catches people's attention. You show up in a white shirt and you're supposed to be a guy getting dirty. So it definitely, it makes an impact.
It does. I think so.
And then looking at your website and your social media, you guys have some pretty trucks. You really did a nice job with those wraps. When did you decide to invest in those?
I want to say 2022 is when we had a different logo in 18, 19, 20. We had a different logo, and it looked very commercial. Which, when we started, we were like, hey, make it clean, sleek, commercial. Sure. It might help us, get more work.
Yeah.
And then we realized, it wasn't brandable. It wasn't easily marketed. It didn't look good anywhere.
Right.
So we made the decision to, redo it. We kept the same name, but we just redid the logo, redid the coloring, just made it a little bit easier to actually market.
Yeah. Did you hire an agency? Did you just work with an independent designer with the logo?
The first one, we just used one of those, hey, we'll design your logo for a few $100s. We'll give you the logo. We're not going to give you the colors or anything. We're just going to give you the logo. We'll give you all the different files you need, but that's what you get from us.
Sure.
And when we redid it, we used, I think the name of the company was Prolific Brand Designs or something like that. They specialize in home service brands, and I think they really did a good job for us. They did the wrap as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. So you understood early on, that's an investment that's worthwhile. I mean, that's your mobile billboard, right? So you see a sleek truck like that, like, oh, that's a professional company. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I would have done it a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we would have, from the beginning, just saved up that money and invested it a lot.
Sure. How about like floor savers? I'm not sure if you do the mats, all the red carpet stuff. Do you do that now? And was that an early change?
So we've done the floor savers since the beginning. I think, you have to do that. Or, you risk
be surprised.
You'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
But we always did the floor savers. We did get the mats once we joined CertainPath. We actually went through one of the partners to get branded mats. So our mats are blue mats with our logo on. We roll out at the door, and we get a lot of comments, compliments on those. We've actually had people try to buy them from us.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's great. But it's those little things early in a call. It's like, hey, I'm calling you for my plumbing. I don't want you out here. It's something I have to have done. And you're kind of in a crappy mood, and all of a sudden someone shows up. They're in a nice white button-up shirt. They've got this mat. You're like, whoa, it catches your attention, right? All of a sudden I'm locked into this call and what this guy is going to say to me. It makes a big difference early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the big billboard in the back behind you. You're in the white shirt. You roll the mat out. Even if they've called 3 or 4 companies before you, no one probably rolled a mat out for you before.
Yeah.
So right there, you already are different. And then you go in and you break out this printed book.
Right.
Yes, it really sets you. If setting yourself apart from the competition is the goal, it all works together and really sets you.
Support for this podcast comes from Pulse M and Customer Lobby. As a valued CertainPath member, you're well aware that the recipe for success lies in the relationships that you cultivate with your customers. We understand that nurturing these relationships can be a demanding task, especially when you're immersed in the day-to-day operations of running a business. It can even become draining. But fear not, Pulse-M and Customer Lobby are here to save the day. After seamlessly integrating Pulse-M's industry-leading reputation management capabilities with Customer Lobby's robust retention platform, you won't know how you lived without them before. Whether you're focused on gathering online reviews or orchestrating targeted and timely postcards, emails, and text messages, Pulse-M and Customer Lobby come together to make the process of creating value at every customer touchpoint effortless. We've played a key role in helping countless CertainPath members just like you not only snag business, but keep it for the long haul. If you're ready to build relationships that turn your customers into your biggest fans, ensuring that they come back time and time again, Pulse-M and Customer Lobby are the secret weapons you've been waiting for. Discover our platform's capabilities with a free demo at this link and start enhancing your customers' relationships today.
Just a couple more other basic things early on. How about like a service fee? Were you guys always using a service fee early on to kind of, get rid of the price shoppers, or is that a new addition?
No, yeah, we've always, well, I won't say always. The first year, right, we took what we could get.
Right.
But about a year in, once the Google started to kick off, and we were actually getting plenty of business, we decided we needed a service fee for sure. So we implemented that pretty on, and we're pretty solid with our service fee. We don't waive it for very much. It has to be very special circumstances for us to waive it. Even for estimates on big things, we're still charging the service fee to come.
Good for you. That's great. The one thing I always ask contractors, entrepreneurs at your size, you've got 4 trucks, but you're not in one of them. There at some point was a decision for you to I am better off in the office trying to grow this business, try to grow revenue, try to, be more profitable. When was that decision for you?
So when we bought the second truck, it was just me and my dad. We worked together. When we bought the second truck, we hired another plumber, and I came, I went to the office.
Yeah.
And then we started looking for another plumber so that he could kind of step out.
Yeah.
And use his experience to help, guide these other guys and to do estimates and stuff. And I took on, the administrative part. I did all the phone answer. I did everything, inside. And he helped those guys, did parts running, did quotes for them, helped them out, did operating equipment for them, just, to make our 2 trucks operate more like 3 to 4 trucks typically would. So yeah, around 2 trucks is when we both came out. And around 3 trucks, I hired a CSR to do all the phones and everything.
So you didn't struggle with that getting out of the field. You understood just hey, to grow this as a business, I can't be in a home turning tools and talking to customers all day.
Yes, because we knew that before we got started, that the business was the product.
Yeah.
Going out and doing as much plumbing as we could was not the answer.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. That's something that a lot of guys struggle with because I love the interaction with the customer, and I value that. Or a lot of them are just, I kind of always say, addicted to the trade. They love what they do. They're technically driven, but to take those next steps, the big companies, the owner's not in the field anymore, right? You gotta be the one, the maestro, directing it all. So good for you in figuring that out early on. I'm going to pivot into some different departments of the business, and we've talked some marketing, your brand, and the rolling billboard that is your trucks. A big thing we're dealing now with a lot of, we deal with over 1,100 contractors coast to coast. Some of them have had issues with call volume. How's your call volume been, in the last year and into 2024? Has it been pretty steady?
Yes. I've seen, throughout the years pretty consistently that it's almost like a wave. You're going to have times when you have too much work, and you're going to have times where there's not enough. I find in those times when it's not enough, that's the times to go back to the basics. That's the times to make sure you're putting out the yard signs. You're doing door hangers. You're really chasing every avenue to make sure as many people as possible are seeing, your name and your brand.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I love that. You're doing the guerrilla stuff that a lot of people go, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do a door hanger. I don't want to do a sign. That's great. So you're doing that. Your guys are doing that on every call.
Yes. We do the door hangers, if we're in a neighborhood with an HOA, typically, we're hitting the 5 houses around. We're not doing door or yard signs in those neighborhoods.
Sure.
Most don't allow it. But those are the houses we can hit with door hangers. And we're in a semi, some parts of our service area are very rural. And that's, so if we service someone on a main road, but their houses are, pretty far apart, we're not running around doing door hangers, but those are the great opportunities to put out the yard sign.
Yeah, that's great. What's your offer on the door hanger? Just a discounted service or just a branded piece? What's the messaging on it?
Yeah, one side is just like, hey, we just helped your neighbor, and we'd love to help you too if you have a problem. Please give us a call. The other side is just very, very simple. $30 off service call. $100 off water heater. Just very, very simple. Discounts just that entice, but it's not something we have to keep up with and keep changing month to month to month. It's something, that we can pretty much offer all the time, so we can just order those in bulk and don't have to worry about it.
That's great stuff. I know a lot of people, I don't know if you have a tracking number on it, and that's one of those tools, those marketing tools that's hard to track anyway, because to me, it's a branding piece. It's not a direct response piece. It's like, full spectrum plumbing. You might look at it, you might toss it, but at least you looked at it, if it's branded well. So that's an impression, and you get enough of those. Oh, I saw the truck. Okay, that's another impression. They add up over time. So when they call you, they may not have that piece, but they'll Google you, right? And that's it's effective, even though you can't track it back to that door hanger or the billboard that is your truck. It's just things you have to do to be a successful marketer. In terms of marketing, what other things are you doing with LSA, PPC, SEO? All the alphabets, or what's been good for you guys?
LSA for us is hit or miss. Sometimes it's, we're getting a ton of calls from LSA. Sometimes there's nothing coming in from it. I wouldn't say that it's been consistently reliable for us, but it's great. We love it. Some of the call quality is also hit or miss. We do get a lot of, tire kickers from LSA, but we get enough great jobs from it. Usually those people who have an emergency and they want it done right now.
Right now. Yep. Yep.
And so, we do get a lot of those from it as well.
Sure.
That make it, that make the ROI worth it. PPC hasn't been great to us.
Okay.
So we don't put a lot of money into it. We've kind of been struggling with tracking the ROI on it as well.
Sure.
And I'm not comfortable spending a lot of money into something like that is direct response without being able to track the ROI on it. If I don't know, if it was a branding piece, maybe we can try it. But something that's direct response like that, without being able to confidently say, hey, we're not just completely throwing this money away. I have a hard time putting a lot of money into it.
Sure.
But SEO's been great. I think SEO's, especially the local, the Google, the local, the maps listings, and getting the reviews, the Google reviews.
Yeah.
As we get a lot of business from that as well.
Yeah. If you want to make a small company look big, Focus on reviews, because it's worth its weight in gold. That's good. So what's the bulk of your marketing budget then, or what are you investing in?
Honestly, probably the bulk is right now in postcards.
Yeah.
It's a big part of our budget. And mailer magazines.
Okay.
It's one of those things, again, it's hard to, you're not going to get the whole, return on investment. You're not going to be able to track it all because they might see your postcard today and call you from Google next week.
Totally agree. Yep.
But I think it's been really good for us.
Are you targeting existing customers, past customers, or are you trying to find new customers with direct mail?
We do both. We definitely see the return from the existing customers.
Right.
But we also do the prospects too. We target, our target customer. We have a mailing list, and we target them, once a month as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the offer that you have on the postcard? Is it just a discount on service, or what's the message you're trying to get across in those pieces?
So originally it was, just very generic, $50 off here, $100 off here. But we've since moved to a more strategic, hey, let's look at our history for this. Is this a slow month or is this a busy month? Busy month, we're going to, just keep those smaller generic offers. The slower month, we're going to throw something a little bigger out, just to kind of get those customers coming in and get that money.
Right.
Right. Keep the guy busy.
Is there a certain card that's really worked for you in that regard?
Let's see. In December, we did, I think we did either a free water heater or a free water heater or a free carbon filter.
Okay.
With a whole home repipe.
Okay.
Whole home repipes for us are, the margins are very good on that. So we were able, to cover that cost of the water heater. And while we're there already doing that work, it's not much more to go ahead and hook that up when we're redoing all the water lines anyway. We've got to disconnect that water heater, or, we're already rerunning the main line anyway. Might as well throw a softener or a carbon filter in there. So that was a really good offer for us.
Yeah. So people knew that they needed to repipe. That's interesting. I always feel like it's one of those things people have to be alerted to. Do you know that you need new pipes in this house? That's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, here we have whole neighborhoods that, they were done in that defective piping, back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And, there's whole neighborhoods full of. So, people know they live in one of those neighborhoods. They need the plumbing redone. They've probably already had some leaks. Maybe it's just, it can be a lot of money and hard to come out with, when you can fix the leak.
Yeah.
Or, so much less. But then when you give them that good offer, it's enough for them to say, okay, if I'm going to do it, this is the time to do it.
I love it. Do you target those specific neighborhoods with that mail? You find the ones like, I know that's a development from 10 years ago and they've got junky pipes. So I'm going to buy, a list and target those neighborhoods, or are you just how do you decide on where you're mailing?
Yeah. We use one of the CertainPath, the partners. And we kind of work with them with our existing customer list, and said, okay, went through that and said, okay, these are the types of homeowners that we're looking for. And so they say, okay, well, we can target those people. And, they kind of create the prospect list for us that, hey, these are all the houses, and they show us the list. These are all the houses that fit your target customer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we did that. But the neighborhoods that we know have the defective piping, those are definitely the neighborhoods that we're going to put outdoor hangers in.
Sure.
We're going to make sure they're driving real slow through those neighborhoods. We're going to try to be seen.
Yeah. Those neighborhoods. Might start handing out free ice cream or something to get some more attention. That's great. you've done a great job in finding plumbers, right? You've been growing, you want to grow, you've got helpers. I guess are you the man? You're handling all the recruiting, right? How are you finding your techs? Is it just all the traditional methods online?
Yeah, so it has been hard for us as well to find them. And we're very picky. I'm very picky about, and when I interview someone, if I feel in the slightest, I can't trust them fully. I have a hard time hiring anyone that just doesn't give me genuine, feelings that they're good people, or once I hire them, you can kind of tell, hey, this is someone I'm gonna have to watch, or this is someone, so we've been pretty picky. We do use a third party to put the ads out online for us.
Good for you.
And they refresh them, they write them, they keep the applicants coming in. But our best recruiting strategy has been just feet on the ground, talking to other plumbers when we see them at gas stations, at, the big box stores, when you got to run in, when you go to the supply houses, just meeting them and talking to them, and, hey, this is a great place to work. I'm not telling you to quit your job and come work here, but if you ever decide you're unhappy and you start looking for somewhere else, you come see us first.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that, and it's gotten to the point where we do have a steady stream of, guys calling, and, sometimes they're just calling to check in and see how we're doing. We have a bad day. I was just thinking about you, just start calling, and then we say, hey, I'm ready to jump, and I want to see if you guys had an opening. But that, just talking to plumbers has been 100 times better than anything else we've done.
And you got to do it all the time. It doesn't slow down. You can't just do it when somebody leaves or you're ready to add that additional truck. It's got to be, you got to be a farmer. You got to till that land every single day, every opportunity. That's great that you see somebody and you talk. I guess you're handing out business cards left and right.
Man, really, we try to keep it as informal as possible. Okay. It's more, hey, what you working on today? Or, hey, are y'all busy? Have you been busy? What have you been doing? Have y'all worked on this new thing? Or have you seen these? Just doing traditional, relationship and value building with them. Not going saying, hey, here, call me, here.
Right.
Because, we don't want to be salesy. We don't want to, if someone came up to me and did that as a plumber, I may be a little off-put. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to just start a relationship. After you've talked to them the first time, now every time you see them somewhere, it's, hey, how you doing? Hey, so that's kind of been our approach, is more just like, let's start the conversation, build the relationship, and just let them know that they do have an opportunity with us. But I'm not trying to pressure them into coming over. When they're ready, they'll call us.
Yeah. That's great. And you said you've got a couple of apprentices, helpers. They're green. You mentioned, hey, all they know is our way, the CertainPath way. So were you just looking for kids out of high school that showed some hunger? How do you decide, at that stage, somebody that's worth investing in?
That comes with a lot of interviewing.
Yeah.
Really, just bring them in, kind of fill them out, talk to them, fill out their personalities. If we're pulling in green people, we can train anybody. I won't say anybody, but there's a lot better chance I can teach you the actual hand skills versus teach you to have a good personality and be able to, to do this. And that just comes with just talking to a lot of people.
Yeah. And then, so this gentleman's about ready to hop in a truck. You're hoping, he's about ready for that. How long has he been with you? And what's he just riding along every day? How have you been kind of training him up so he'll be ready?
Yeah, so we got him. He was pretty young, fresh out of high school. And he came over with us. and he's been with us a little over 2 years now. And he probably could have went into a truck a while ago doing very small tasks, changing toilets, faucets, and stuff like that. But that's not what he wants. He wanted to be able to actually do it,
Yeah.
do everything. So he stayed a helper a little bit longer, made the investment in himself, to where he can go out there and do the full array of service, from, and kind of install and do it all.
Yeah.
So he's learned everything, just pretty much just riding with other guys, helping with on all the bigger projects. When there's no bigger projects, he's running the service calls, and, the plumbers love to take him with them because, instead of them getting under the sink and putting in the garbage disposal, they're just handing him screwdrivers. So that they really like it as well.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, it sounds like he's got the right demeanor mindset. He wants to learn. If you can find somebody like that, that's what you want. That's how you grow a business. That's awesome. We talked about, training, CertainPath. Obviously, I would say we're a training company. Every part of the business you can train on. You've adopted a new pricing guide, and there's a certain way of delivering great service. How did you teach yourself? Did you go to Service Essentials and on the model that we teach, and then how do you kind of train your guys today?
Yeah, so I kind of onboarded myself through the onboarding process that CertainPath has. And, I did go to the Service Essentials and go through all of that. I've put all of my guys, they've all done the Service Essentials. Like all the office people we've had have all gone through the Telephone Essentials, dispatching for profits and things like that.
Right.
I went through both of those as well. I haven't put my guys through Plumber Advance. I didn't onboard any of them through the onboarding that CertainPath has. And
right.
I see now that was kind of a mistake, and I should have done that. So I want to put them back. I want to put them through that, send them back to Service Essentials, and then send them through the Plumber's Advance. Because that onboarding, after I just re-onboarded myself and onboarded a new plumber, I see now that all my other guys, I didn't do them a great service by not onboarding them the CertainPath way.
Yeah.
Because it really ties all the other stuff together. Like the Service Essentials makes a million times more sense if you've done the onboarding.
Yeah. It does. It's all tied together. But you know what? There's nothing wrong in sending people through onboarding again. I know lots of members that do that. They pick, every year they put through a percentage of their people through the onboarding again, because it just reminds everybody, it's all rooted in the system. This is why we charge what we charge. It's a good tool to use. That's great. I'm glad to hear you're using it, taking advantage of it. So it's just one of those great tools, and it's good to hear you understand the value of training. I mean, again, if you're going to charge a good price and that you got to be able to provide great service, right? They go hand in hand. I guess there's a few other things talking about here. So you've learned we could cover the numbers, right? You're keeping an eye. You've got the software. So you're looking where your margins are at day to day. You're making money. You're investing in training. What are some of the things you're working on right now in the business to kind of take you to that next level? So to get you to 7 trucks profitably.
Yes. We actually just rolled out memberships.
Okay.
That was one of the big missing pieces.
Yeah.
For us to, really kind of take off was one to have the memberships in place.
Great.
Other than that, I'm really just tying up some loose ends, tidying up some things in our software, making everything as user-friendly and making everything streamlined. Documenting SOPs is something I started, a few months ago.
Yep.
And, just kind of been ongoing, trying to get everything documented.
Yep.
But, that's pretty much where I'm at. I think our only missing piece right now is adding that first layer of management other than myself.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's been a real challenge, is trying to find the right person for
Sure.
that.
Sure. But you're about ready for that. You especially you get to 7 trucks, it's time to, you're not the guy fielding all the calls, right? So that's good that you know that. Actually, there was something I wanted to ask you about. Chris Nelson, your coach, had mentioned to me, you're part of a tag group, the accountability group that we have at CertainPath. So you meet once a month, right, with other members. You guys talk about your wins, the areas of struggle. How's that been for keeping you accountable, kind of learning what other members are doing?
Yeah, tag last year was great. I think it just started this year. But yeah, last year I really enjoyed it. I picked up a lot from some members that were missing for me. Like one thing, referral cards, to give customers in a referral program. I'd heard about it. I knew it's something we needed to do, but I just didn't quite know exactly how to do it. And I had a member share with me, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. And it was incredibly simple, but I just needed to see it. And so, that was great for us. But yeah, it's just learning, the way that other people do things, and, being able to share my challenges, and having a whole group of people in a similar, I don't have people that are, doing a lot less than me, or a lot smaller, or a whole lot bigger than me, trying to give me advice. It was, a coach and my actual peers who were, facing the same challenges, or just now overcoming those challenges. So yes, I really liked tag last year.
Cool. What's the referral program look like now?
So yeah, we just have a card that we give out to, every customer at the end of a call. And, it says, hey, basically it's, if I came to your house and I did a service for you, I'm going to give you a card that says, hey, refer us to a friend. You'll get $50 credit toward your next service, and they'll get $50 off their next service. And, you just write their name on it, and they, refer them. And, I mean, it's very simple, but
it's another branding piece too, right? Now they got that card, it's just more times you can burn that logo into people's brains. It's worth that little printing cost. I mean, those cards it's nothing to get those things printed, so it's easy to hand those out. So that's good. That's a good nugget. How about Expo? Was Temecula your first Expo, or have you been to a couple now?
Yeah, let me see. DC was my first. So the one before Temecula was last year's Expo with the gala. It was my first one, and it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I brought my wife with me, and she loved it. She thought the gala was like the most amazing thing in the world. She thought it was incredible. Just getting to hear, just being surrounded by positivity.
Yeah.
I think it can get real negative in a plumber business. Customers, nobody wants to call the plumber, right?
Right.
I mean, it can get a little negative. So, and then being surrounded by all the positivity, it's very refreshing.
Yeah, that's great. That's why I say all the time, for us on our side, putting together a gala and putting together Expo, it's a lot of work, but boy, it's so much fun when we get there. I love seeing, everyone I've interviewed over the years, and a lot of friendships, and, you're new to it. You're going to start having friendships develop over that stuff. That's what it's all about. Just kind of in wrapping up, and I appreciate all your time, Thomas. I've had a lot of fun. What's CertainPath meant for you in this growth process the last 18 months, almost 2 years, I guess? So how's it accelerated your development as an owner, entrepreneur, and accelerated the company?
In the last 18 months, it's giving me a lot of work to do. I would be lying if I said that it wasn't, that implementing all this stuff was not work for me. But I'm to the other side, and I can see the light, and I can see the path. I know where I'm going, and I know how to get there. And that's what it's done for me. And it's given me all the tools and, kind of showed me the way and let me know that, hey, like, you can do this. All the pieces are in place. All the stepping stones are there. It's time to just start walking. Like there's nothing left to do but do it. I look at all these bigger companies around me, and it's like, there's nothing different about them and me. The only difference is they've done it, and I haven't done it yet.
Well, and the thing is, you look at big companies, you'd be surprised how many we talk to that aren't making money. They're just trading paper. You're doing it the right way. You're building it profitably from the ground up. So when you do get to that big level, your hair's not on fire going, how am I going to make payroll? You're doing it the right way. Let's think back to your profit day experience. What would you say to yourself back to that first profit day? And to anyone watching or listening that, I don't know if I want to be a member, I don't know if I've got the money to invest, what would you say to them about maybe going forward?
Just do it. I don't know what I could say to those people. Like, just do it. Like with anything else, it's been very worth it to me. And like I said, I wish I would have done it, back in 2018. I think it goes back to the not knowing the numbers. Like, if I would have already had that financial model, I would have said yes, I would have known that it was a no-brainer to join CertainPath. So, that alone is worth this very small investment that I paid to CertainPath. It's kind of scary, when you're starting out and you don't know, hey, can I afford it? But CertainPath, if you do sign up, CertainPath will make sure you can afford it.
Yeah,
like you can, and they'll show you that you can.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, last question: where do you see Full Spectrum Plumbing in the next 5 to 10 years? What's your, you go to EP, we talk about BHAGs, your big ambitious goals. What's your big ambitious goal these next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to venture into another trade.
Okay.
I'd like to get into, mass media and really start to capitalize on that, major metro that's just right there. I can be in downtown Charlotte within 30 minutes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, I'd really like to capitalize on that and maybe add, HVAC or electrical as well in that 5 years. And then within 10 years, add, the other that we didn't add there. That's kind of the goal. I'm excited to see what does come.
Yeah, you're a young man. You got a lot of opportunity ahead of you. I'm very excited to see where you go, Thomas. Thank you so much for all your time today. I know it was a long call, but really enjoyed learning the background and learning about your business. And like I said, I can't wait to see where you go. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Bob, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Support for this podcast comes from Shuby. Avoid costly cleanups on the job site with Shuby's high-quality shoe covers, gloves, coveralls, and surface protection products. Shuby products are specifically designed for home service professionals to keep your work environment clean and showcase your professionalism. Made from strong, durable materials that won't rip or tear, our products ensure maximum protection. We know that your time is valuable, and that's why we make it our mission to provide you with the tools you need to get the job done quickly and efficiently. Keeping your clients' homes and floors clean can be a hassle. Try Shuby today and avoid the hassle. Use code CP10 to get 10% off all Shuby products. Visit shuby.com, that's SHUBEE.com, to check out our great products.
The Successful Contractor Podcast is part of the CertainPath family. CertainPath builds successful home service businesses and has for 23 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of over 1,000 contractors just like you. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With CertainPath, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.